With this, we welcome you to this event as an extended family of NICE Nepal.
The floor is all yours, Sia.
Okay, thank you so much. That was a very beautiful introduction of NICE, and I'm very happy and I feel privileged, that to be a part of the NICE family, being a visiting fellow. So I would like to start by welcoming everyone who are watching the NICE International Studies Convention from whichever part of the world. We have arrived at the last session of day one of this 3 days event. And I would like to start by thanking and congratulating Dr. Pramod Jaiswal and his amazing team for organizing this interesting event and bringing about the very promising speakers from all over the world and with some interesting topics, because these discussions are more fitting and timely at this point of time, because I feel that the world is witnessing one of the most eventful times that is touching upon not only individual lives but lives that are associated to each other, being a part of the global community. uh, Whatever is happening all around the world, we are all some way or the other associated to each other. So at this point of time, this discussion was really needed, and that NICE has done wonderfully. For instance, the power shift that we are witnessing at the moment in Afghanistan is not an Afghan problem alone. Rather, there is a high possibility of a spillover effect in the neighboring territories, say for India. And also the power vacuum that has been created by the US, the exit, has created a new space for other major players who have been there for a long time. But whether they are going to take a part in this, only time will tell. The world is observing. But in any case, China is one country whose name is being pulled in, or whose name is reflected in the foreign policy discourses time and again. China has increased its economic, political, and strategic footprints in the Asian neighborhood, whether it is the South Asian neighborhood or Southeast Asia or Central Asia. And when we talk about Central Asia, we cannot rule out the Eurasian neighborhood. That's also a very important territory that can't be ruled out. Therefore, China has been extensively present in the neighborhood, in the region, through its geopolitical and geostrategic activities, and its activities and the occurrings in the region. So as a result, China has interestingly been, and it still continues to be one of the most favorite and popular topics of discussion among scholars and experts and foreign policy makers around the world. And rightly so, because China's presence is being felt and discerned throughout the world in various capacities and various ways. Hence, it is imperative to analyze and observe and keep a track of China's movements and activities and interventions that it makes in whichever part of the world. Because while for some, this intervention, or you may call this expansionism, or this their activities proves to be beneficial, but on the other hand, for some countries, some players, it's nothing less than a threat, or a source of competition or conflict. Hence, it becomes more important, as I said, to keep a track of what China is doing all the time. And also, there is a discourse that China's rise is going to integrate the world economy. But again, there's also argument on this, that this rise of China will lead to more frictions and contentions, competitions, or maybe a new order of Cold War and geostrategic tensions. So there are several questions that arise in one's mind. I'll probably ask after the presentations, but I was expecting five speakers. I don't know how many are present. If someone just writes in the chat box, I'll know. But for now, I would like to, I think we have Dr. Sampa Kundu, assistant professor at Amity University. I would like to invite her to start with her presentation. Dr. Kundu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. That was really nice of you. And once again, thank you, NIICE, for organizing this event and giving all of us an opportunity to talk about, um, different aspects of international relations. So in this session, I have chosen to speak about a topic which has been, uh, discussed amongst various international scholars and experts for many years, but I thought that it would be really nice to talk about it once again, since as the chair rightly pointed out, that we are at a very important juncture of international affairs in the 21st century. So I will be talking about perceptions, influences, and competitions, understanding China and India's positions in Southeast Asia. So I have chosen Southeast Asia as the area of my study because obviously I have been studying Southeast Asia for a few years now. So this is a region which is very close to my heart, and I was actually expecting my fellow speakers from Southeast Asia like Philippines and few other countries, but I don't see them. But anyway, so in the beginning I will start with uh, start with the topic of perception and why perceptions are important to understand a country's position in another region. Since we are talking about India and China, I think perceptions are very important to, to explain how Southeast Asia views India and China. So if we have to go to the realistic thinking or realism, we all know that how realism puts a lot of focus on military power, or the physical force, like how a country is powerful. On the other hand, if we have to borrow ideas from the liberal thinkers, they put a lot of stress on international society, international organizations, then economic strength, cooperation, etc. And then we have constructivism that puts a lot of focus on cognitive behavior, political psychology, and how a nation state behaves with the other nation state. And I think that is very important to understand how Southeast Asia views both Beijing and New Delhi. Because whatever we say is, whether it is image building exercise or whether it is a perception building exercise, I think that comes from the political psychology. So that is very important for us to understand. Now, since we are talking about cognitive behavior, emotions, wishful thinking, etc., I think for Southeast Asia, both Beijing and New Delhi are very important, because Southeast Asia is a region which is rightfully, geographically, which is located uh, uh, right in the middle of the Asia Pacific, and then again in the Indo Pacific. Geostrategically, Southeast Asia is very important, at least for India. So I'm not going to the debate between whether we should use Asia Pacific or Indo Pacific, because I think we have past that time, and we all have understood one point, that Indo-Pacific is important for India and also for Southeast Asia. Now, the next thing is how Southeast Asia considers India or New Delhi. My experience and my readings would tell me that there are positive factors and there are negative factors. The positive factors come from the facts that India is a soft power. India is not an assertive nation. India never tries to, be influential in terms of military might, etc. So India is being perceived as a soft power, which is a positive aspect for New Delhi, and I think New Delhi should work on that. The second thing is actually not very positive, because the second thing talks about how India is being perceived as a country that is still bogged down by red tapeism, and then delayed project implementation. For example, Kaladan multilateral project. Then we have the trilateral highway between India, Myanmar, and Thailand. So these are some of the examples to tell us that why India is still being branded as a country that takes too long time to implement a project. Then the third thing is India's recent withdrawal from RCEP. I think that was not taken in a very positive spirit by most of the Southeast Asian countries, and they still want India to be a part of RCEP. So these are some of the examples to show us that how positive and negative factors are still, in a swing when it comes to India's position in Southeast Asia. Now, coming to China's position in Southeast Asia, again, there are positive factors and negative factors. I would like to talk about Chinese projects in Myanmar. There are projects, which are being implemented by the Chinese companies. But then if we can recall, some of the projects were postponed and finally withdrawn because of the resentment from the local population. So I think that is also very important, how the local people are viewing the other country and their presence in their locality. So if the local people, if they are not in favor of a second if they are not in favor of a country which is trying to be influential in the region, then I think that works against the interest of the country and also for the bilateral relationship. So I think that is very important as far as China is concerned. But then China has a lot of positive influences on Southeast Asia. For example, China follows this win-win situation, which basically means that China doesn't talk anything about the democratic setups and then how the country is being run, whether it is being run by an elected government or whether it is being run by a military establishment. China doesn't care about these things, and these are quite open. I mean, there is nothing to be nothing to hide about it. And some of the Southeast Asian countries and their governments which have seen complicated civil military relationships in the past, I think it this kind of win-win situation, this kind of win-win policy followed by China is something that they would welcome and they would appreciate always, because it basically allows them to have their closer economic tie-ups and cooperation with China without being worried about their government structures and political system. So that's one thing. Apart from that, we all know that how China establishes itself again as a very good neighbor, a neighbor which who cares for peace and security time and again. After 2007-8 financial crisis, China took many steps to help some of the Southeast Asian countries, and the countries were actually supported by China to overcome the crisis. So these are some of the factors that work in favor of China and China's positive perception in Southeast Asia. Now, again, coming back to India, because I'm trying to do a comparison between India and China here. I think India is trying very hard to to reach to that position where India will also be having a very positive space in Southeast Asia. For example, I would like to talk about the Republic Day function few years back, and when our Prime Minister invited all the ASEAN member countries to come to India, participate in the Republic Day function, uh, witness the entire gala event, and then they were also talking about India ASEAN cooperation in in all aspects of development, cooperation, and every like soft power, technology, digital arena. So India and ASEAN, if we have to look at that relationship, I think that is growing really fast, and that is growing really really with a positive spirit. So I think that's very welcoming approach that India has been taking in the recent years. So uh, there are many other aspects. There are many other steps that India has to take in near future to continue the effort, to continue the journey towards becoming a responsible stakeholder, not only in Southeast Asia but also in the Indo-Pacific region. And as Prime Minister Modi has recently mentioned, that ASEAN is at the core of India's Indo-Pacific vision, India's Indo-Pacific approach. I think that is the right approach that we have taken, and we need to sustain this kind of efforts to win the hearts of the Southeast Asian people. When I'm saying Southeast Asian people, I'm reinforcing the fact that perception and image building exercises should not always restrict to the government or government to government relationship, but it should encompass the public sector, the private sector, and the civil society organizations, where more and more common people can be engaged in public diplomacy. So I think public diplomacy is also a very important aspect of image building and perception building exercises. So I think I would like to conclude here by saying that uh, we all understand that there are competitions between India and China as far as the influences and perceptions are concerned about New Delhi and Beijing, about how the countries are considering Beijing and New Delhi's presence in the region. So what India can do is, first, India should be present in Southeast Asia. And when I'm saying present, it doesn't mean that only an embassy, but it means that the visibility of India should be everywhere in Southeast Asia. The second thing is representativeness. I think that is also very important. When India established the Indian mission to ASEAN in Jakarta, that was a very welcoming step, and those kind of steps should be, should be continued. So presence and representativeness, and the third thing is anchoring leadership. So having a good anchor or having a good leader or leadership is also very important. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation, and questions and feedback are always welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kundu. That was a very insightful presentation that you made. You have touched upon various aspects of perception and influence, and soft power, how soft power, and there are other ways to improve the perception of the local people. If you want to expand your territory or expand your visibility in a particular country, it's very important to also touch upon the local the minds of the local people. We do have a few questions for you, but before that, I would like to know, if do we have the second speaker, Mr. Aaron, Dr. Aaron?
Madam Chair, as of now, we do not have him.
Don't have. Okay, fine. So for Dr. Kundu, I have a small question that do you feel that there is a chance, or in the near future there will be a probability of a competitiveness which is coexistent between China and India? Because as you said, that I think China's visibility is more in the Southeast Asian region, and of course India is also trying. But as India approaches nearer, India is trying, you know, its best to increase its visibility. Would there be a chance for a fair competitiveness or coexistence ever between the two countries?
That's really very nice and interesting question. Well, I do not have the correct answer right now, but what I can tell you is that as you know, some of our previous leaders anticipated that Asia is a very big continent and there will always be enough space both for India and China. I think this spirit should continue, and competitions are always welcome. So far there are competitions, but the competitions should be at the healthy level. Like even at individual level, we say that competitions should be healthy. So in the same way, between nation states, also competitions should be healthy and transparent. So if that can be continued, then yes, the spirit should be there. And as you rightly said, that India has been trying really very hard, especially in countries like Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. These are the countries which have really very rigorous bilateral and multilateral relationships with India. India has been trying through IORA, IONS. BIMSTEC is there. So I think India is going in the right direction, and India Southeast Asia relationship also has its own merits. So I think we should also focus on that instead of always talking about China. I know this session is focusing on China, so we are talking about China, and it's always informative to study how we are, where we are standing compared to the other country. But at the same time, we also should focus on our own merits so that those fields can be cultivated.
I do see a question for you that has come through Facebook. I'll ask it to you. The United States is giving more focus on the looking east policy, and China already is having a deep economic connection relation with ASEAN. So how should India curate its policy? How should India think about its policy when United States is also focusing and China is also already there? Um, how do you think India could make a better approach?
Uh, I think India has always maintained this balancing approach when it comes to Southeast Asia or Indo-Pacific. I mean, we all have seen developments in the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue Forum. So I think that is a very balanced approach that India has taken. India understands the fact that India's Act-East policy and India's Indo-Pacific vision cannot be succeeded if Southeast Asia is not cooperating with India. So again, I would come back to my original point that if Southeast Asia perceives India as a good neighbor, as a responsible soft power, then I think that will work for India, and India should focus on that. India's relationship with US is also very important, especially in this changing geopolitical times, when we are seeing so many changes happening right here in our neighborhood. So that is also something where India needs to concentrate. But at the same time, since India is talking about maritime security, India is talking about Indian Ocean region. India has taken so many steps in the Indian Ocean region. So I think India should not ignore Southeast Asian countries, because that's where our Act-East policy begins.
Yes, I believe that our Southeast Asian neighbors have great potential, and if you think about constructivism and political image changing, then delving further into the how to tap the soft power,
Right.
the soft power that India has. India could also delve and try to find out the soft spots of our South Asian neighbors, and try to win their heart, to expand their visibility in India. That's really well taken. That's a very good point that you have pointed out, that uh, hard power is also always not the way
Yeah.
to make a mark. And when India is resourceful with the soft power, that is one way that India can expand towards its eastern neighbors. Okay, so Nimesh, do we have the second speaker, or what should we do?
Unfortunately, we do not have him.
Okay, so should we continue the discussion, or do you should we just?
Yeah, I think yeah, you can continue the discussion. And if I guess if the other speakers do not join, then with the time limit, I think we have to end
We can end the
yeah,
session.
in like like at the time when you feel like ending. I mean to say, when the discussion, yeah, 15-20 minutes, then 15 minutes. Yeah.
So if Shampa Kundu wants to add a few more points, if you want to expand on any of your points that you probably have missed out, or you want to add more points from your presentation, you're free to do that.
There is, yeah, there are points to add, but before I add any other points, if anyone from the audience has any suggestions or feedback, that also with your permission, um, we can take.
In the meantime, I can also add another point for you, that we all know that China is or has practiced an expansionist approach,
Mhm.
which has not gone down very well with many of the emerging powers or many countries. Although, in the beginning, I also said that um, it has worked in the favor of some of the countries, but for some it is not. But do you think that this expansionism, or this kind of expansionist policy approach, which is sometimes not very visible, but it is done in a soft way, but would it be sustainable for China in the long run to be in the market or be in the world stage by using this expansionist theory that they are using at the moment?
Uh, that's a very tricky question. I'm not, a China expert, so I don't want to deal with this. But as far as Southeast Asia is concerned, I think it's not only expansionist approach that China has taken. As you know, I have already mentioned that China has basically taken an approach which is very conducive to the Southeast Asian neighbors, most of the Southeast Asian neighbors, if not all, because first point is China doesn't interfere in the internal affairs of the Southeast Asian countries. Secondly, if we have to look at the CLMV region, which is Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia, these are the countries which are immensely benefiting from Chinese financial packages, their trade, economic aid tools, etc. So I don't think it's only expansionism where China is focusing on right now, at least not in Southeast Asia. So I think that's beneficial for both the sides. uh, this is very interesting that a country like Myanmar, where we have seen the rise of the Aung San Suu Kyi, and then the sudden fall. But no matter whichever government is coming to this country, to Myanmar, that particular government is creating a bonhomie with China. be it the military establishment or be it the elected government. So that's very interesting. This shows that how China is able to maintain its bilateral relationship with the countries concerned. So I think that is something which we should also, as some of the scholars would say, that there are always few things to learn from China, and I think this is something India should consider, that how irrespective of the form of government, the bilateral relationship should not suffer. And also I think multilateralism, and that is India's India's positive point. I would say that the way India focuses on multilateral initiatives, in the afternoon we had another session where most of the speakers were actually talking about multilateral initiatives and how India's digital diplomacy can help India to emerge as a global leader, because technology and digital diplomacy are the fields where India is really doing well in the recent years. So I think these are some of the positive factors for India, and if India can cultivate these factors in future, this will work for India. This will work in favor of India.
So yeah, so that brings back to my questions answer, that if there is a possibility, if they want, that there can be a coexistence. So Dr. Sampa, it was very, very insightful. Not only insightful, you have given a few perspectives of the South Asia, the position of China and India in Southeast Asia, and it has been a very interesting presentation, and it would have been more interesting if we had a few more questions and few more speakers. It would have been more robust. However, I do congratulate you and thank you for your presentation and joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Distinguished Chair, speakers, ladies and gentlemen, as we have come to the end of this session, we would like to express our sincere gratitude and thanks to the Chair for agreeing to chair and moderate the session today. Our sincere thanks also goes to all the speakers for being a part of the event and delivering such comprehensive and convincing presentations. We would like to acknowledge our gratitude to our friends from the diplomatic community, experts, academia, media, and different organizations. Finally, we must also mention our deep sense of appreciation for the audience who participated in the webinar and those who are watching us live. Thank you for your valuable time and attention, and for making this session productive with your questions. Once again, we are truly honored to have you all with us today. Please do join us in the next session. Thank you so much.